amaswati akhala asho lokho ukuthi one of the things that cabanga ukuthi isikhathi sekuthi tilungiswe sasifikile indzaba yokuthi is our education system relevant?
Yes.
And here we are seeing stakeholders in the upper sectors of our education,
yes,
including the University of Eswatini, RSTP, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
They are gathering here in Matsapa, including some major visitors from the SADC region,
yes,
to come and gather with us to have this discussion around education.
Yeah, definitely. You know, times are evolving, and we're speaking technology, we're speaking artificial intelligence, so this conversation is very important. Actually, this international conference is very important because we're looking at it being sustainable. The job opportunities that we have right now, are they going to be relevant in future, right? So it's very important, if you're a parent or you're a guardian, this is a conversation that you want to be part of. Is our education sustainable? Is it, affordable? And of course, we're speaking inclusivity. That means that even if a child is disabled, they should be able to have access to education, right? So this is a perfect way of re-imaging our, education system. And of course, we'll be bringing you guys, keynote addresses from what's going to be happening here today. There's different representatives from SADC and beyond. So it's such a great platform and it's such a great initiative.
Of course, and I think it's quite interesting to actually note that we have Ingosigati Magela Matsebula, who is also the guest speaker. And I think this also speaks to the importance of, or the magnitude itself of this particular event. We do also have or anticipate to see some other keynote speakers from Zimbabwe. We've got Dr. Kundane, who is also going to be making a special presentation here as well, and also Dr. Nhlengetva from the University of Eswatini, who is also going to be making a special address and a presentation here today. Education, Maswatlamasha, I think is Lalas Kona Kona Namusha. We grew up as being told that education is the key to success. But I think I like the pillar here, the last pillar in particular, relevance in education, and especially in the advent of artificial intelligence.
Yes, definitely. I agree with you. And I feel like the generation that we have right now is a generation that says we are working smarter, not harder. We're putting in like a lot of work into like education, but now there's, the likes of your chat GPT, there's, artificial intelligence that makes work easier for students. So right now, I feel like if you're not tech savvy, then you're going to have a problem in the 21st century, which is basically what we are looking at today in terms of education. Right now, we see there's supposed to be like a lot of technologies in terms of like classrooms now. They're supposed to be changing from the traditional way of how we had them before. Computers, laptops, because everything right now is tech savvy. So that's what we are looking at today, basically, pretty much. Yeah.
And the young person sitting at home is saying, how is this relevant to me or for me? And I think in particular for those who have completed school, yes, and have not had an opportunity to be part of a full-time campus, yeah, I'm at the University of Eswatini.
Yes.
I'm on campus,
yes,
and we have thousands of young people who are sitting at home because they never got an opportunity to be full-time students yes, in the University of Higher Learning. So the conversations that are also going to be happening here today also include inclusivity through distance education,
yes,
And I think it's if you are an aspiring higher education student, what can you do if you have not been enrolled full-time within a higher institution of learning?
Yeah, definitely. Well, with the action that is going on here, we hope that this is going to be something that you guys want to watch. And of course, we do have local chairperson of Iswera, about what is happening here today to break it down to us. And of course, we just want to have a chat with him just for a little bit so that you understand. His name is Mr. Taylor.
Sikumathapha Maswati Lamahle University of Eswatini lapho khona ke kuqhubeka lo msebenzi lomkhulu lo lo banjwe ke ngema stakeholders le ndawo ke cishe mane njengoba ke sesiwabalile lafaka ekhathi ke eswera lekuyinhlangano ke lefaka ekhathi ke ama professionals in the academic space or in the academia labuka kakhulu kade ke tindzaba telicwaningo tekuthi ke what can we do to improve the sector itself and what can we do to improve the education itself in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Representing the association in the Kingdom of Eswatini is Dr. Tsigati, who is also going to help share his understanding, his view, and what this conference is about here today. Dr. Tsigati, thank you so much for coming through. We see this is a very, very big conference here, bringing on board different stakeholders, including your RSTP and so on and so forth, the University of Eswatini, and some other regional partners from the SADC region. Just tell us briefly about the conference.
Siyabonga kulipheresa sivusele umbukeli nemlaleli ekhaya. Sinalo mhlangano umbuthano lapha we conference lo hlanganiswe ngule Eswera, which is Eswatini Educational Research Association. Ihlangene nema partners lamathathu lamanye lokuyi Distant Education of Southern Africa. Kube khona iKIAS, which is Kingdom of Eswatini Academic of Sciences, bese kuba khona iRSTP, which is Royal Science Technology Park. Silapha sihlangene sitobuka kakhulu ukuthi kule 21st century education ethu ikuphi. Sibuka enhlanganweni letisihlanu kokuqala sibuka iaccess iyakhonakala ukuthi abantwana bakhona ukungena education. Aphinde futhi sibuke ku affordability. Sibuke sustainability lesi kufundisa kuyakhona nokukhonza bakusense impilo yabo yonke. Sibuke indzaba innovation kwaninga bese sibuka kakhulu indzaba ye relevance.
Yeah.
Kuloko sikubuka konje.
Ngiyabona. Masingakhulumela kumbe ema presentation we know there's also going to be a keynote speaker here Inkosikati Magela Matsebula who is also going to address the gathering. But we've got some other high profile presentations that are going to be happening here today. One from Professor Kundane from Zimbabwe and Professor Nhlengetva here as well. But when it comes to for instance the presentation around or the pillar of relevance, what exactly do we want to address when we speak generally or broadly about our education? Is it focused on Eswatini or on all the SADC countries?
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Perez, that's very important. You'll note ukuthi le conference yethu I see yethu sodwana. Let's come ngoba kukhona kama SADC countries lekufaka khathi Malawi, South Africa, Botswana, even beyond Kenya and Nigeria. So let's address lapha is not only Swaziland, because some of these problems are transboundary, which means so Professor Kundane is coming from Zimbabwe Open University. So lapho utaba khuluma lokuthi how can we access even without being physically there open distant education learning. So utaba khuluma lokho kakhulu yena ukuthi sekulukhulu mhlambe kuba khona class in physical lokunye ukufunda sekuthi sifunde singekho lapho uyasita nama futhi sithathe kulamanye emave. So ngiloko kakhulu ukuthi asisita kule access kakhulu.
We've seen some concerns, I think, in the region. Particularly, I think at some point we saw it happening in South Africa. The issue of access and affordability, especially when it comes to higher education in the Kingdom of Eswatini. What do we hope to achieve when we have had these conversations around issues of affordability in the Kingdom of Eswatini?
Yes, thank you so much. Research now. We have got over 150 papers that are going to be presented here. Part of them will talk about how do we talk to those issues of access, of affordability. Even the online learning has got issues. So all that has got to deal with that. AI is called artificial intelligence, but it has got issues that we have got to talk about them. Thank you so much.
Bathini bochwephesha njengani ni Dr. Tsigati nina vele ni lead the conversation noma lo liphenyo around issues of education. Sikuphi imbambamba mawucathanisa masicathanisa kumbe nale region masicathanisa neAfrica and masibuka futhi nemhlaba lendlela lo evolve ngakhona. Professionals in the space, like your association is pursuing that conversation. What are your discoveries?
We must say we are doing well as a country. Well, we may not say we are perfect, but we are doing somehow well, because even you look at the illiterate rate yet, it's saying on. So we are doing it, but there are still those technical issues that's why dealing now. Just like it's to my access. Even though Hulmende Sazamile, when I primary education, but there are other barriers which are keeping them out. So we do still have these small issues that are there. Another area, especially when coming to tertiary education, kuna mismatch level corner between the training and what is expected out there. But we're working on that. Even the university, there are programs that are in place to make sure that we do align these things. Outside the country and it's gone. So all those things are being addressed.
Yeah. Loku jabulisa go Dr. Tsikati ukuthi these are not just hypothetical presentations that are NDO.
Yes.
These are research papers.
Yes.
What are we going to do with this research? At the end of the day, they are going to be submitted here today. My findings are also what are we going to do to move forward and as per the findings of these different researches?
Very important question, Perez. I think what is going to happen, I was talking to my team, Nasuwa. As Eswatini now, we have got a journal. A journal is in Pugwana, la research, so what is going to happen, look, Kamala, we are going to take the best papers and they're going to go into the journal, which can be now consumed by not only Eswatini, even the world at large. So number one. Number two, we have got an opportunity in this conference to launch the first volume of the journal from outcomes of 2023 conference 2023. So we are launching it. Inkosikati lamathebula lo patron yethu malong make wethu utaba sithulela yona esiveni ngalokusemthethweni.
Yeah. Well, in particular for the young person sitting at home right now, seeing this broadcast, why must they watch the proceedings of this entire conference?
Yes. Thank you so much. That's very important. When we are talking about education, primarily we are talking about the young people. Yes, there's what we call the teaching of young people and the adults, but mainly is on young people. So now they will get to know on the issues that are affecting them. I have made an example by alignment of the training. So this is what is being done to align their training. Because as we speak, unfortunately, some of our graduates are not absorbed. So these are the issues. Yes, those are the issues that we should talk to. They should be absorbable.
Dr. Tsikati, thank you so much for taking us through, and we do hope that as the conversation goes on inside the auditorium, we will get more insights and perhaps come back to you and say, this is what is happening, what do you have to say about it? Thank you so much once again for coming through. Sikumathapha ke maswati lamahle la sisakada khona ke lo msebenzi lo qhubekako la lo khulumisa ke indzaba ye education in the 21st century lapho khona ke inhlangano yabochwephesha ehlangothini letemfundo itabe ke ihlanganise ke bochwephesha labathinzekako ke inhlangothini letahlukahlukene labanye ke babo ke labaqhamuka ke emaveni lahlukahlukene lafa ekhathi livele eZimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, Lesotho, generally lamave ke levela seSwatini lingebo makhelwane nabo kukhulumisa ke how can we make our education system accessible, affordable, responsive, relevant, and sustainable, and with a touch of innovation?
Yes, and of course there's so much that's happening. At this moment, Inkosikati Magela Matebula is making her entrance, so that's someone that we are looking forward to seeing. And of course, just the presence of royalty means that this is very important, and for us to come together to think about education in more productive ways, and of course in ways that can develop when we are speaking education in the Kingdom of Eswatini.
It is an exciting moment, Nomalungelo. In particular, Maswati have always expressed the desire to have conversations amongst themselves, and it is a good thing to see a Maswati gathering in their different fraternities, yes, and one of which are professionals in the academic space, to say how can we improve our education in the Kingdom of Eswatini, how can we make it sustainable, how can we make it even relevant. Yes. I was shocked the other day when I passed by a preschool, they were reciting poems and many other things which I think I myself went through back in the day,
yes.
and you ask yourself, are they still relevant? If I was there back in the 80s, perhaps,
Yeah.
you know, and you ask yourself, are they still doing this in the 21st century?
Yeah.
Are they going to be relevant? So this conversation really is very important.
Yes, and speaking of just, your preschool level education, I think right now the more productive way or a way in which is conforming to the way that we're doing things now is bamfana sekuthiwa abatifundzise. So now it's skills, it's more what they want to do. You listen to what they want to do and you listen to what they want to learn in terms of their interests. So it is developing, but it's tema poems, and of course, when we're speaking technology as well, we're speaking RSTP, which we know is a major part of this initiative. So it's very important to also find out more about, their broader mission in terms of education when it comes to technology as well, because that's what we're touching base on today, basically.
Of course, and I think this is a different assignment for you and I today, a
Yes.
totally different assignment
Yes.
because the presentations that are going to be made there are academic papers being presented there.
Yeah.
So you and I have to sit down and be schooled,
Yes.
So it's not just about coming here and saying what's
Yeah.
happening. We need to go there, absorb the information, and come back and share it with the viewers. Thank you so much at this particular moment. We are going to see what is happening inside the auditorium.
Of course, we are waiting for a lot of people that are going to be making keynote addresses. As I mentioned earlier, we have someone from CEO rather of RSTP, and of course we have a lot of people in terms of like Iswera Siateguti. It plays a vital role and is a major partner into this international conference. So there's so many people that we're looking to hear from inside the auditorium, and of course just to get like pearls of wisdom in terms of education, so we can share the relevant information. We're not just here talking about what's happening, but we also want to learn so that we can share the information with you guys in terms of education. And of course, we hope that you can also hit us up on our social media handles. What do you think should be addressed to have that conversation and to drive, that ship in towards what people want to know and of course what their interests are in terms of education?
Education, like we are here, the conversation, the main word here today is going to be education, education, education. And when we talk about unemployment in the Kingdom of Eswatini, I think we are also talking, the issues are centered around education in terms of, is it still relevant? I think there have been concerns from stakeholders such as employers to say, is the education system producing what we need in the market, But also the other critical question here is the issue of affordability, It is so devastating to go through your primary school, with full dedication and your high school and to perhaps get good grades, Not competitive, to such an extent that you can beat other kids. But how you get your scholarship in the Kingdom of Eswatini. You find the kids do qualify to be enrolled in a university, but the mere fact that they haven't received a scholarship or been granted a scholarship, then now limits or jeopardizes their chances of being enrolled in the system, They are sitting at home as we speak, So some of the research papers that we are going to be learning about here today, they speak to those issues in terms of what mechanisms do we put in place as a country to make sure that our education system is affordable, and perhaps even to the point where the private sector could play a role. We know in South Africa or in many other parts of the world, where big corporate companies, have very strong scholarship programs where they fund students, perhaps that are relevant in what they are doing.
Yes, definitely. And I think you touched on one thing that I feel like all Eswati are aware of, which is the issue of unemployment. So in SADC as a whole, Eswatini is one of the 5 top countries that have produced a lot of, people that have graduated. It doesn't matter if it has to do with emakhono, but bamfu kangwane bayafunda. And the issue at the end of the day is unemployment. And the narrative for today basically is to shine a light on, your science, courses, and of course, people to drive towards beds and, to do science a lot, because those are the things that are demanded in the industry, because we are speaking transformative artificial intelligence. So we're looking at people that are going to be engineers. We're looking at people that are going to take up space when it comes to the role of sciences. So for the people that are actually watching, yes, we can encourage that, but we are just saying the demand in the market right now is for people that are actually going to be good at science and maths.
Yeah. And I think in what you just said, I picked up one word, transformation, and it just made me remember how His Majesty King Mswati III has always pursued the dream of having the SADC University of Transformation, or Transformative University. It speaks to the issue of access, and to say, do we have enough of these universities in the country? Because even the University of Eswatini itself, like your Limco Queen University, Teachers Training College, Nazareth, they can only take so much, And how many how big is the pool at the end of your high school? Can they all be enrolled in this system? Perhaps the conversation around an extra university, a big university, and perhaps that is going to accommodate students from the SADC region is part of the issues of access that we are talking about here today.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe if we can, we're talking about the university, maybe that is going to open like a lot of opportunities for our local students as well, because so far kangwane kunale nomi ukuthi umfana kuze akhone kuba umuntu lofundzile uceceshekile, there's that whole scholarship thing ukuthi mele bahambe baye kulamanye amave. But maybe we can be that country as Eswatini to say, with more opportunities of like schools or universities, bamfana bangakhona ukuthi not even seek like scholarship to go outside, but we can produce the specialists that we need in the kingdom of Eswatini, because science comes to medicine as well. There's a lot of fields that people can look into when we're speaking science. It's not just about artificial intelligence or your engineers. The pool is broad basically for people that actually want to take up space when it comes to the world of science and maths.
There is, of course, a political will in the Kingdom of Eswatini when it comes to providing broader access to education, in particular education of higher learning. We saw, for instance, in this year's financial budget that the Minister of Labour and Social Security received a substantial amount that accommodated more students compared to previous years. And I think this speaks to the desire of the Kingdom of Eswatini to have more Emaswati kids or students enrolled within institutions of higher learning. And we do hope that perhaps in the financial year of 2026 and 2027, we are also going to see an increase in terms of the budget allocation that goes towards funding more deserving Emaswati students to be enrolled in institutions of higher learning. Because as we are saying, access to institutions of higher learning is also critical in terms of creating a workforce that is going to thrive and be productive in the kingdom.
Yes, and as a parent yourself, I think it's better we have this conversation. What is it that you have seen so far, the changes that you've seen so far in terms of like education? I know that we kind of mentioned earlier, so as a father and of course as someone maybe also MBA, in terms of like education, what are some of the changes that you have noted, and do you feel like those are the relevant steps that we need to be taking as a country?
Perhaps I will not speak from a totally informed position, but I know, for instance, that there is a conversation now between employers and the academia. There is a conversation between employers and the ASHEC in the Kingdom of Eswatini, which is the regulator for institutions of higher learning, to say, are we producing graduates that matter in the market? Are we, when we enroll our children in institutions of higher learning, can we be confident that they will produce or they will match up the demands of what employers or the market is looking for? And I think that's a conversation that matters at this particular point, because you would find, for instance, that a lot of kids, and I'm not even saying do not aspire to be a teacher. But we perhaps have produced more teachers than we need right now as a country, and which is why conversations like I am referring to between the stakeholders matter, because they also guide these prospective employees to say, if you study this, these are your chances in the market, you know. And I think we've also seen, and which is a positive for me, we've also seen the Minister of Labour and Social Security now conducting an annual career expo, which gives good ground for these kids to know exactly and have a personal feel of what the market is looking like, and they can get mentorship on a ground level to say, if you have dreams or aspirations to study this, and I think this is the direction you need to take. Events which were not there before, and you'd find that a lot of kids have made mistakes in terms of choosing career paths, whereas now with the advent of the Career Expo, which goes to all the regions in the Kingdom of Eswatini, provides an opportunity to these prospective students to make the right choices.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you. And in terms of like, Skulma about, these science and math subjects, and we're also talking about artificial intelligence, I think it's also important to note that we have produced like a lot of teachers, but then, neighboring countries have already started implementing artificial intelligence as, something that is going to be teaching students. And so the likes of South Africa, they've, officially launched like a robot that is a teaching robot. And that goes to show, Guti, when we're looking at, job opportunities, it's very important to think where do we stand, as people that still want to be employed, as people that still want to be productive with all of these innovations that are still happening out here. So it's very important that, we take note of that as well as a country.
I read an interesting statement from a newspaper from the United Kingdom a few months back, and the author of that particular article was saying AI will be the death of institutions of higher learning, referring to the fact that it is so easy now to just prompt an app to give you a research which otherwise you would have done in months. And you ask yourself if this is also now going to shortchange the students, the lecturers, and the quality of education itself. And I think it's so interesting to note that I think the AI subject is also going to be covered here today. And I do want to find out, and I do urge you to sit and listen to find out how AI can be aligned to fit into the broader needs of our education in the Kingdom of Eswatini.
And of course, we are still here. We are still going to be showing you guys all of the important and keynote addresses that are going to be happening here. It's very important that we sit down because you don't want to miss out on this one. When it comes to education, either you're in school, either you're a guardian, it's very important because you can't be anything without education. Oftentimes we have this narrative, okay, but because that means also starting a business, and to start a business you need to be someone who has a high IQ. Wouldn't you agree?
Actually, I think the best way to answer you, early this year I bought myself a book titled Africa's Billionaires. Africa's Billionaires lists, I think, about 10 to 12 of the richest men in Africa and women in Africa, and none of those billionaires have less than a degree. All of them, they have degrees, they have the highest qualifications in accounting, in auditing. Most of them are high-profile lawyers by profession, And it told me to say, if we are serious about creating entrepreneurs in this country, we've got to stop these jokes that we are doing, discouraging kids from pursuing high-quality education in favor of the hustle, which is what is happening now, to say, I will go and hustle, But to produce businessmen at that level requires quality education, as evidenced by the book that I said I'm reading. Your Patrice Motsepe, your Ali Dangote, and so on and so forth. They are men and women of substance that went through school and to study, and they understand the dynamics of the economy, the business, the law, integrity, and so on and so forth.
And speaking of businesses, I was very fortunate to have a chance to be working with Junior Achievement Eswatini. More than just it being about a business, it's also about having a business that is able to solve an environmental problem. So if you are not solving that problem, that means that your business is probably not going to thrive in the market. Sesikhuluma ngokuthi bamfana bayakhona kwakha, products or bakhona kwakha imishini that are, producing electricity or producing, water. Sikhuluma ngabo hydroelectricity as well, and that is in turn solving like problems that we have as a country. So it's more than just starting a business. I feel like it's starting a business. Yeah, IQ ukuthi vele iyadingakala. So you need to have a business also that is sustainable, right? And that's going to be relevant in the future. It doesn't just only apply with today's international conference, but when it comes to every aspect of our lives in terms of businesses as well and the things that we want to pursue in life.
Yeah. And I think I like the theme so much, education in the 21st century. And one of the pillars here speaks to the issue of relevance. And, I've noted and over the years that umntwana makasesikolweni, normally makaqeda nje high school, the discipline they choose in an institution of higher learning is not normally their chosen career path.
Okay.
It is what the parent wants, Nomalungelo uyofundzela kuba ngudokotela. Nomalungelo so uyoba ngummeli, And ukhanze ukuthi lo mfana maybe i-dream yakhe beyika IT. I-dream yakhe beyika agriculture, And ukhanze abantwana labanengi seba unhappy, they are not finding jobs, they are not being meaningfully rewarded if they do get the jobs, And it doesn't fulfill them internally, which now also speaks to the pillar of relevance in education in the 21st century to say, can we encourage our kids to go for competency-based education, which is a system that our government is already pushing to say, what competencies do I have? What competencies does your child have? It could be singing, it could be drawing, it could be in the arts, it could be music, and so on and so forth. It could also be in the areas of having skills in different areas, your vocational skills, But those are not the areas parents want to see their children in. Angeke nje umntwana akho ayoba carpenter, And you ask yourself why? Because this is how we are going to create meaningful employees. Meaningful entrepreneurs in the country. Because, but when that competencies kito, as opposed to you pushing the child for the sake of you receiving the glory as a parent to say, which is not a bad desire in itself, but we are basically saying, are we being relevant as a country when we push our children to things that are perhaps not even relevant anymore in the job market?
Right. I think that I'm still like one of those traditional parents because, I know you're talking about, the competency tests that have been done and have been implemented, and I've taken one myself. But as a parent, I just feel like it makes you proud to have a child who's doing big things, right? It's all about their dreams, it's their life, and of course, it's their choice at the end of the day. But when we're speaking about, umfana so ketha ukuthi yena ufuna kuba arts, maybe he wants to be a musician. As a country, I know that times are changing, but as a country, we're still developing, our music industry, actually our entertainment space as a whole. It doesn't matter if you're a visual artist, but as long as you are in the entertainment sector, the market is still developing. We are not where we want to be yet because we have this mentality, if you're a musician or you're in the entertainment sector, you need to make it out of Eswatini in order for you to be successful, right? So, labo dokotela siqhubeke sibe nabo and the likes. But of course, we are encouraging, as a parent, I feel like it's also important to, listen to what your child wants. Maybe reach a compromise because times are changing. And I do feel like parents are open-minded now than before. And it's either you're a nurse, you're a teacher, or, you're in the army, one of those three. And that was what was being produced. But now we're speaking innovation. So yeah, we are being innovative to that certain extent.
Having conversations with different stakeholders. Opportunities and empower them in that direction. And I think as we speak, there is a takeover that is going to be happening in the local economy. There are people that are very strategic in terms of seeing the economy how it is moving.
Yeah.
The private school that is just agriculture based, I will not
Yes.
mention its name because I'm not
Yes.
about promoting that school.
Yes.
But you know, there is a strategy behind that school.
Yes.
There is land in this country,
Yes.
there is water in this country, there is finance in this country. The only thing that was lacking is the expertise in the agriculture space, you
Yes.
know. So parents who have seen this opportunity are taking their kids to that private school to focus on studying purely agriculture or to have expertise in agriculture, because they are going to come back and take over those opportunities in the market.
Yeah.
And they are the ones that are going to be dominating in this space, while your child perhaps is sitting there waiting to be enrolled.
Yes.
Maybe within a profession that you push them to, and not where the opportunities are.
Yeah, and I think that's quite relevant as well, because even, you know, we are Eswatini, of course, and we have had a lot of, you know, growing up with your subsistence farming, school but now technology is in the midst of all that, because it's certain things that are creative and innovative, you know, ways in which, you know, people can produce a lot of goods and services for the country, but working smart as well. So I feel like also when it comes to agriculture, it's not the typical way and we feel like we're shining down on that or looking down towards that. Everything now in terms of technology is basically taking up space when it comes to every other aspect of it.
Yeah. See, Kumatsapa Maswatamahle, just to remind you, there is a big conference here going on where the guest speaker here, or the keynote speaker here, Inkosikati Magela Matsebula, stakeholders, including the Association of Researchers in the Education Space, including your RSTP, including stakeholders in the distance education space, not only in Eswatini, but also in the SADC region, are here today, and also those within the information communications and technology. And there's a lot of visibility when it comes to the Minister of ICT pushing the ICT agenda in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Minister Savannah Mazia seems to be all out just to say we can be at par with what other countries are doing.
Definitely, and we are still very much in the month of October, which is Cyber Security Month.
Yes.
You see, yet again,
Yeah.
technology. So it's very important also for ICT to be, you know, a part of this initiative. So there's a lot that's happening, and we want to take a look at what's happening right now at the auditorium.
Presidents and CEOs of Eswera, DIASA, KIAS, distinguished delegates, invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and a warm welcome to you all. A warm welcome to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, it is my profound honor and privilege to stand before you as the Program Director for the official opening of the Eswera DIASA KIAS RSTP 2025 International Conference. I am Tolagele Mngomedulu Dlamini, and I will be directing the proceedings this morning. Your Royal Highness, Mage Inkosikati Matsebula, and ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here under a theme that is not only timely, but critical for our collective future. Education in the 21st century, access, affordability, sustainability, innovation, and relevance. What a theme, ladies and gentlemen. May we please give a big round of applause to the team for coming with such a beautiful and meaningful theme. Your Royal Highness, over the next 3 days, we will dissect this theme . Thank you. Over the next 3 days, Your Royal Highness, we will dissect this theme, share groundbreaking research, and forge partnerships that will shape the educational landscape for our country, our region, and beyond. Before we immerse ourselves in the rich proceedings of this opening ceremony, Your Royal Highness, allow me to outline the structure of our program this morning. We have a very serious and a beautiful series of insightful remarks from our esteemed partners and leaders, cultural performances to celebrate our heritage, and the distinct honor of hearing from our guest of honor, Her Royal Highness Inkosikati Magela Matsebula, who will officially set the tone for our conference. Just a few housekeeping rules, ladies and gentlemen. Our restrooms are behind the hall. You'll see the signage for men and women. I also appeal, ladies and gentlemen, that we all switch our mobile phones to silence mode for the smooth running of the proceedings. And I also appeal to all esteemed guest speakers to kindly adhere to the allocated times when giving their remarks. We have got a very rich program, and every minute is valuable, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Your Royal Highness, it is my pleasure to officially call this session to order. But before we proceed, let us begin by centering ourselves in gratitude and spirit. I will call upon Salesian High School Brass Band to come up front, or yes, there they are, Salesian Brass Band, to just give us a gospel interlude, and they will be followed by Dr. Rachel Mafumbate, who is going to open the session with a word of prayer. Over to you, Salesian. Let us give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Kotani nayo bantfwana bami.
Inkosikati Mage, all invited guests, I greet you all in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I would like to bring to your attention just 2 verses from the Bible. The first one being Proverbs 2, verse 6, which says, "The Lord gives wisdom, knowledge, and understanding." Then the second one is from the book of Isaiah 33, again it's verse 6, which says, "He will be the sure foundation for your times. The salvation and wisdom and knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the key to his treasure. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in Christ, I greet you all and we thank God and we are saying, Ebenezer, thus far the Lord has taken us. I would like us to give honor by praying, thanking the Lord for giving us traveling mercies as far as this place. Let's bow our heads and pray. We thank you for bringing us together under the theme Education in the 20th Century. You are the source of all wisdom, creativity, and understanding. Grant every delegate divine insight to reimagine education for a better world. Inspire us with courage, compassion, and innovation so that all our discussions build both knowledge and character. Open doors of access and provision, making education inclusive and affordable for all. Empower educators, leaders, and learners with vision and purpose to create sustainable, transformative systems. May the seeds sown in this conference grow into lasting change that enlightens minds, uplifts communities, and glorifies your holy name. We ask everything through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mafumbate, for those heartfelt words. And may the Lord give us wisdom and understanding. Amen. May the Lord give us wisdom and understanding. I want to thank Salesian. You really gave us a beautiful rendition. Thank you so much, Banvabami. Mage, Ingoskati, Magela Matsebula, we are gathered on the esteemed grounds of the University of Eswatini, our pride. It is now my distinct honor, Mage, to invite to the podium the host of this conference, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Eswatini, Professor Justice Twala, for his welcome remarks. Professor Twala, over to you, sir. Can we please give him a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen?
Program Director, the Eswera Patron, Mage Ingoskati Lamatsebula, University Leadership, in the likes of the Pro-Vice Chancellor Academic, the Librarian, the Registrar, and the PESA. The Minister of Education and Training, represented by Dr. Matsebula, the Minister of ICT, Portfolio Committee from the Ministry of ICT, Principal Secretaries, senior officials from the Ministries of Education and ICT, Eswera President, the KIAS President, the DIASA Chairperson, RSTP CEO, esteemed academicians, teachers, students, researchers, and honorable guests, sanibona nonke bekunene. It gives me indeed great pleasure on behalf of the University Council, the University Senate and UNISA management and the university community at large to extend a warm welcome to all delegates attending the Eswera Diasa Kias RSTP International Conference under the theme Education in the 21st Century, Access, Affordability, Sustainability, Innovation and Relevance. May I preface my remarks by extending appreciation to the Eswera patron, Maga Ingosigati Lamatsebula, for agreeing to be the guest speaker in this conference in spite of her busy royal duties. Your presence here, Maga, signifies their majesties and your steadfast support for the university and enduring commitment to the advancement of higher education in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Your presence, Maga, is also a model for every Liswati and African girl child and women on the importance of education for inclusive, sustainable development, not only for the Kingdom of Eswatini, but also for the African and global village at large. We are indeed deeply honored that UNESCO was chosen to host such a prestigious event, bringing together some of the most dedicated, renowned practitioners in education, research and innovation across the Southern African region. Maga Ingosigati and invited guests, the mission of the University of Eswatini is to be responsive to national and international needs through teaching and learning, research and innovation, entrepreneurship and community engagement for inclusive and sustainable development. The university, however, cannot achieve this mission without stakeholders like the ones represented in this conference today in response to the evolving educational and developmental needs of our nation and our region. Our vision as a university is to be a public university that impacts society and improves lives. Today's gathering is therefore not only in line with this vision, but also reinforces our shared commitment to advancing knowledge and transforming lives. The chosen theme, Education in the 21st Century, resonates deeply with our institutional values and national development priorities. Program Director, invited guests, the 21st century has ushered in an era of rapid transformation, demanding educational systems that are inclusive, equitable, forward-thinking, and resilient. This conference will explore the 5 essential dimensions of modern education, which is access, affordability, sustainability, innovation, and relevance. It will showcase the systematic challenges and propose strategies to ensure education equips learners with the tools necessary for success in a complex and interconnected world. Drawing on global examples and current research, this conference will also highlight the urgent need for reform and investment in education as a cornerstone for inclusive, sustainable development. And indeed, we live in an era where education must be more than a pathway to certificates. It must be a vehicle for empowerment, for innovation and social transformation. Unfortunately, despite global progress, disparities in access to education still remain significant. According to a paper by UNESCO 2021, over 244 million children and youth worldwide are out of school. Geographic isolation, gender inequality, conflict, and disability contribute to exclusion from formal education systems. There is also a glaring divide, digital divide across the regions. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted this divide, disproportionality affecting learners in the rural or low-income areas. Lack of internet access, devices, and digital literacy widened existing inequalities. This is according to a paper which was published by OECD in 2020. It was also, therefore, no coincidence that His Majesty the King Mswati III, at the 80th session of United Kingdom General Assembly, under the theme Better Together, made a call for countries to embrace digital transformation for inclusive, sustainable development. We have also noted with despair higher education costs, worsening disparities as costs surged globally. Tuition fees in higher education for the first-year students increased from 44,000 to as high as 250,000 per annum, excluding indirect costs like residence fees, living expenses, and transportation. However, we can learn from other countries in Europe who have demonstrated that public investment in free education can lead to long-term economic and social benefits. Moreover, we have open educational resources and online learning platforms which provide free or low-cost alternatives to traditional learning materials. And of course, education in the 21st century has also seen new emerging technologies that further change the accessibility profile across the region. Advances in artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and adaptive learning platforms are reshaping education. These technologies enable personalized learning experiences. And also further, governments and NGOs in the region have responded to these changes by implementing various initiatives to close the access gap and to align education with existing and emerging national needs, such as investment in internet infrastructure, low-cost digital devices, and policy reforms supporting inclusive and equitable learning environments, curriculum reforms, industry-academia collaboration, lifelong learning programs for reskilling and upskilling the instructors. It has also been observed that traditional education curricula often lags behind the skills demanded by modern economies. The World Economic Forum in 2023 identified some key skills which are still missing amongst the graduates that are produced by higher education institutions, which include critical thinking, digital literacy, and emotional intelligence as a key to 21st century competencies. May I quote one scholar who noted that the 21st century education is no longer about the ability to read and write, but also about learning and unlearning and relearning. That was Alvin Toler, who observed that digital skills are therefore necessary to equip students with new skills in the era of the fourth industrial revolutions. And of course, an observation has been made that there are stronger ties between educational institutions and industries in the developed world that have found to be able to bridge the skills gaps through internships, vocational training, and career-oriented programs, which ensured that learning remains practical and future-oriented. Further, the rapidly evolving industries, lifelong learning have been found to be essential with adult education and continuous professional development, offering pathways for reskilling and upskilling. However, in spite of all these innovations, unemployment remains a challenge in the region and Africa at large. For example, Eswatini still has a rate of unemployment of about 37.64%. South Africa, our neighbor, sitting at 27.9%. Africa in general is sitting at 11.7%, against a global unemployment average of 4.9%, with the youth being the most affected. Food insecurity figures also stand at a very high figure of 282 million Africans who are exposed to hunger, which is close to 20%, against a global average of 8.2%. And disease has continued to be a menace in the region, costing close to $2.4 trillion US against a global average of $2 trillion US. Further, the country and Africa at large learned its lessons from the advent of COVID-19. The region experienced shortage of drugs to manage the pandemic due to limited supply. And we have observed changes in recent policies from donor communities, and aid from abroad has been drastically reduced, which indicates that Africa and the country, the Kingdom of Eswatini, really needs an urgent mitigation strategy to come up with local solutions which will solve problems, local problems in the kingdom and the continent at large. These challenges therefore begs a question as to whether or not the education system and competencies that are offered to our students in traditional higher education are still relevant for socio-economic development. This is the question that this conference will have to answer. Just before I close, according to another scholar, John Dewey, who said, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of their tomorrow. The 5 pillars, therefore, of this theme remind us that the true value of education lies not only on who can access it, but in how it equips learners to sustain livelihoods, solve real-life problems, and contribute meaningfully to their communities. The University of Eswatini has tried to address some of these challenges through introduction of centers and innovation hubs. Just to name one example, we do have an innovation hub which was funded by UNDP, Artificial Intelligence Academy, Center for Sustainable Energy Research, Center for Climate Change, just to name a few. And of course, in response to the need for digital skills demanded by national technological demands, the university introduced new lifelong training courses that include certificate in online teaching for educators. And I invite all participants to participate in this online teaching, which is offered by IDE. Also, generative artificial intelligence courses, which are also offered by the Artificial Intelligence Academy. This, however, does not completely solve the issues I have just highlighted above. Our collaboration with national and regional partners such as ISWERA, DSA, and RSTP will therefore go a long way in strengthening applied research that informs policy and practice. Such research ensures that knowledge generated within the university does not remain in journals and conferences, but translate into solutions for Eswatini's development priorities and the broader African continent. This conference, therefore, is testimony to the power of collaboration and the joint effort of ISWERA, DSA, GIAS, and RSTP exemplifies how partnerships can amplify our collective effort. And we believe as a university that no single institution can solve the challenges of education and development alone. Sustainable progress requires us to pool resources, share expertise, and learn from one another within Eswatini and across borders. Allow me, Mage Ngosigati, to acknowledge the Eswatini Educational Research Association for unwavering leadership in promoting a culture of scholarly inquiry and professional collaboration. I also commend DIASA, KIAS, and RSTP for their role in advancing open and distance learning, research innovation, and digital transformation. To our distinguished speakers, researchers, and delegates, your contribution will enrich our collective mission of building education systems that are inclusive, resilient, and future-focused. In closing, Mage Ngosigati, I invite all of us to use this conference as a space for dialogue, discovery, and partnership. Let us reaffirm our shared vision to make education not only accessible but affordable and also transformative, sustainable, and relevant to the needs of our people. May your deliberations be fruitful and your time in Eswatini be inspiring. Welcome once again to the University of Eswatini, the home of innovation, research, and academic excellence. With those few words, allow me, Mage Ngosigati Lamatsebula, to say, may the Lord God bless all of you. I thank you.
Thank you, Professor Twala, for that generous and inspiring welcome. Thank you so much for challenging all institutions to transform and reform all their curriculum so that it aligns with the needs of industry and that of our society. May we give him a big round of applause. That was good. Mage, the seamless organization that has brought us here today is the result of tireless effort to give us insight into this journey and the vision of the host organization. I now call upon the president of Eswera and the chairperson of the local organizing committee, Dr. Alfred Tsigati. Ladies and gentlemen, may we give him a big round of applause as he ascends the stage. Over to you, Mr. Tsigati.
Mage Ngosigati Lamatsebula, Her Royal Highness presents, Honorable Ministers represented here, Vice Chancellor of the University of Eswatini, host partners, that is DIASA, KIAS, and the RSTP, distinguished keynote speakers, Professor Gundane and Professor Ntlengetwa, esteemed delegates, students and exhibitors, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is both my privilege and honor to address you this morning in my dual capacity as the President of Eswatini Education Research Association, Eswera, and as a chairperson of the local organizing committee for this historic international conference. As the chairperson of the local organizing committee, I extend our sincere gratitude to everyone who contributed to making this conference a reality. We are deeply honored by the presence of Mage Ngosigati Lamatsebula, the patron of Eswera, whose consistent support and advocacy continue to inspire our mission. We take pride on our strategic partnership, particularly with the Distance Education Association of Southern Africa, DIASA, the Kingdom of Eswatini Academy of Sciences, KIAS, and the Royal Science and Technology Park, RSTP, Each partner brings unique expertise. DIESA enhances regional collaboration and promotes policy, science policy and education promoting evidence-based innovation. DIESA enhances regional collaboration and promotes equitable access through open and distant learning. CARES strengthens the link between science policy and education, promoting evidence-based innovation. RSTP drives research-led innovation and entrepreneurship, bringing education with technology advancement and the world of work. Kindly note that in this conference, we have delegates representing countries from the SADC region, hence it is international conference. We have delegates from South Africa, we have delegates from Botswana, we have from Namibia, we have delegates from Mozambique, we have from Malawi, from Zimbabwe, to name a few. Not only the region, but we also have beyond the region as far as Kenya and Nigeria. Back to the collaboration. Together, these institutions exemplify the power of synergy and shared purpose. The essence of this conference collaborative, the essence is conference collaborative spirit. We are equally grateful to the Ministry of ICT, especially Dr. Aru Masego, the Director of Research, Science and Technology Innovation, whose timely support in coordinating millions and media coverage is invaluable. Our appreciations also goes to other sponsors, Imisebe Publishers for sponsoring conference with stationery and materials, Eswatini Post and Telecommunication Corporation for providing internet connectivity. You can connect your gadget in this venue. The University of Eswatini, our esteemed host, for its hospitality in terms of the venue, logistics support, and transport provision. And lastly, not least, we have got the Taiwan Embassy, who also have support us in terms of gifts. To our keynote speakers, presenters, and delegates, your participation gives this conference its intellectual depth and professional value. To every member of the LOC and our volunteers, your dedication, teamwork, and professionalism have made this event a success. As the president of ESERA, I warmly welcome all delegates sent from all the places. This international conference represents yet another defining moment in our association ongoing journey to advance educational research, innovation, and professional development. Our theme, education in the 21st century, access, affordability, sustainability, innovation, and relevance, captured the core of our mission. It challenges us to rethink how education system can remain inclusive, affordability, environmentally responsible, and technologically adaptive in the world of constant change. Formerly known as Eswatini has grown from modest bringings into leading voices in research capacity building and evidence-based education practice. In 2021, the association embarked on a bold turnaround strategy to revitalize its operation and reassert its role as an active, self-sustaining national research body. This strategic transformation focused on reviving local activities, launching national research conference, and establishing the Eswatini Educational Research Journal, a peer-reviewed platform for sharing scholarly work. It also expanded Eswatini's digital presence through website, social media platforms, introduced research awards to honor excellency, and strengthen partnership with universities, ministries, and the regional research network. Like many developing organizations, Eswatini faces challenges, notably the absence of a permanent office, limited financial resources, and of course, fluctuating membership. Yet these challenges ignited innovation and resilience, shaping a stronger, more determined association. Through collective efforts and collaboration, Eswatini has achieved a significant milestone, hosting national and regional conferences, including the landmark 2023 Eswatini Ishake International Conference, establishing the Eswatini Educational Research Journal to promote quality research and knowledge exchange, honoring founding leaders and long-serving members for their exceptional contribution, enhancing visibility nationally and regional through digital platform, and participating in Southern Education Research Network, which is a mother body, strengthening research capacity through mentorship, workshop, and research baptism, which is a better workshop, initiative for emerging researchers. Looking ahead, Eswatini envisions a future anchored in sustainability and inclusivity. The association aims to establish regional and international research units, secure a permanent office, expand membership base, and offer professional consultancy and training services. Moreover, Eswatini seeks to collaborate closely, of course, with the Ministry of Education to develop a national educational research agenda, one that will guide evidence-based policymaking and educational reforms across Eswatini. Through its conference seminars and mentorship programs and scholarly publication, Eswatini continues to serve as a bridge between research, policy, and practice, fostering dialogue, innovation, transformation in education. Looking forward, as both President and LOC Chairperson, I view this conference not merely as an event, but as a turning point, a reaffirmation of Eswatini's dedication to educational excellence, innovation, and transformative collaboration. It represents the realization of our turnaround vision, building local ownership, expanding visibility, and strengthening partnership that transcend borders. Let us use these next 3 days to share ideas, challenge assumptions, and shape educational systems that are inclusive, affordable, sustainable, and responsive to the realities of our times. Once again, welcome to Eswatini, welcome to the University of Eswatini, and welcome to the 2025 Eswatini Diesa Kies RSVP International Conference. I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tsigati, for your comprehensive remarks. For your comprehensive remarks, Dr. Tsigati. May we give him a big round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Tsigati. And we also want to thank you for your effort to assemble us here. Yes, it was hard, but he made it possible for all of us to be here today. May we please give him another round of applause for that. So now the stage is really set for a transformative conference. We are all ears, ladies and gentlemen. Mage, at this time, I just want to say that the spirit of collaboration extends beyond our borders. Collaboration extends beyond our borders. It is now my pleasure to invite the chairperson of the Distance Education Association of Southern Africa, DIESA, Professor Joshua Valeta, to bring us greetings and perspectives from our regional partners. Professor, the stage is yours. Let's welcome the Prof.
Joshua. Apparently, that's how they pronounce it back home.
in one of the tribal languages called Tumbuka. The program director, Make Kosikati Lamatsebola, to whom we are so grateful for sparing time to grace this memorable collaborative conference. Our honorable ministers and all other government officials present, the Vice Chancellor and the entire university leadership, keynote speakers, distinguished delegates, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning once again. Let us travel back in time. 407 years before Christ was born. We will find an ordinary child who was also born to ordinary parents. The boy grew up hustling, but wise and inquisitive. A few decades later, this same boy stood up under a tree. And that tree is now called in Greek the tree of Hippocrates, or otherwise Platonos. But he stood there not alone, with a few people whom we shall now call students. Who was this man? That was the great philosopher called Socrates. What was he doing under this tree called Platonos? He was responding to a noble call. And he did it in a unique way, by looking at these students and asking them one of the most famous questions with power to unleash human creative thinking potential. And the question he posed was, what do you think? Socrates, even his student Plato, and many other great thinkers spent their lives trying to debunk one of the world's most challenging problems. It's a complex problem. It's a pervasive problem. It's full of poorly defined structural challenges that are deeply intertwined with societal issues. This problem is actually described by philosophers, especially education philosophers, as a wicked problem. And it is the same wicked problem that has gathered us today. In simple language, it is called education. For more than 2 millennia, the question rages: how do we effectively provide meaningful education in an equitable manner? Not necessarily with the objective of profitability, but providing it as a service through a social contract. In other words, it's the same question that Socrates, Plato, and other philosophers were trying to debunk. this wicked problem of education. Complex. But how do we achieve greatness using this same problematic discipline? Well, fast forward, it brings us to Einstein's theory of quantum insanity, which says, if we do the same thing the same way over and over again and expect a different result, we are insane. You are right. What do you think? This, Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, is the question that inspired the birth of the Distance Education Association for Southern Africa, DIASA in short, whose executive committee is in this room, the secretariat is in this room, and its members are in this room. I am only their chief messenger. Hence, I'm standing here to speak about it on their behalf. This organization, DIASA, was birthed to respond to that very first question that Socrates posed to his students. What do you think is the best way of changing the world? What do you think causes what happens around us to happen and happen in the way that it happens? What do you think can be done to change education to make sure that it is more equitably accessible, it is impactful? That was the reason why DIASA was birthed. But this organization has one unique characteristic, and that is to do whatever it does in a collaborative manner. And that's why we are very excited that this conference that we are having now has been achieved through strong collaboration between Eswela, CARES, and the RSTP plus DIASA, with a lot of support, to which we are also grateful, from the Ministries of Education and Training and Ministry of ICT, coming together and coming up with innovative ways and means of making this conference a reality. The support that these different partners have rendered has enabled us to meet and reflect on how we can make education deliver the promise of equality of education opportunity, but with quality. Your Royal Highness and all partners, I think for the work we have done to produce even just this way of sitting and ask ourselves the question, what do you think about education and making it more effective? We've done a good job, and I think we deserve a round of applause, all of us. As we will be listening to the guest of honor, the keynote speakers, researchers, policymakers, and students under our roofed platonos of this sports emporium, can we agree that the researching, innovating, and integrating science and technology in the practice of education, and more especially open distance and e-learning, will break down this wicked problem called education? It will break it down so well that even the rural girl child, who our guest of honor stands for and promotes, will be able to access education from anywhere at any time. The entrepreneur, the working class, The young mother who is cooking at home will be able to finally have access to education at any time. This is what we call true lifelong learning. Everyone is now presented with the opportunity to continue to learn while they earn and build our economies beyond the roofs of time, space, and resource limitations. Through distance education and its metamorphic stage lenses, one is able to discover education in 3 dimensions: decentralized, digitalized, democratized. 3D. Where anyone can walk to their destiny while learning and earning. So DIASA as an organization promotes these new ways of education through strong collaboration among its 11 member states and various institutions who are represented here. We offer trainings, working closely with the SADC Secretariat. We promote science, technology, and innovation. We promote education technology and the publication of research findings as a digital public good. We therefore invite others to join us through the Secretariat that is present here. See us, and you see how easy it is to work with us. It is therefore clear, Your Highness, ladies and gentlemen, that the commendable hard work put together by the local organizing committee with support from highly committed executive committees and government ministries will be remembered as an investment that added zest to the promotion of quality assured and flexible education that will drive sustainable and resilient economies in Eswatini here and also the entire region of sub-Saharan Africa and beyond. With quality open distance and e-learning, which instead of fearing emerging technologies, embraces them. Such emerging technologies as artificial intelligence through increased investment in connectivity and digital infrastructure, human capital development, and quality content, we can make education more accessible, sustainable, innovative, and resilient. We can produce the critical mass equipped with the much needed 21st century practical skills and soft skills to solve our problems that are contextual to our African nations, and doing so with both productive practical skills and soft skills, including analytical skills, digital skills, and critical thinking. What do you think? I thank you, Director of Ceremonies.
Thank you so much, Professor Joshua, for that. Yes, we have got a variety in Eswatini. We refer to people named Joshua in different ways. It's Joshua, Deshuga, Joshua. So thank you so much for the beautiful presentation, Dogotela and Prof. Ladies and gentlemen, may we give him a big round of applause. What we have just done, Professor, we have just reinforced the power of regional solidarity in advancing education. For that, we really appreciate you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will call upon the president of KIAS, that is the Kingdom of Eswatini Association of Sciences, Dr. Tabile Ndlovu. The stage is yours, Dogotela.
Thank you very much, Director. Kingdom of Eswatini Association. Yo. Kingdom of Eswatini Academy of Sciences. Your Royal Highness, Mage Inkosikati Lamatsebula, representatives of the Ministry of Education and Training, representatives of the Ministry of ICT, portfolio committees, government officials, the Vice Chancellor, my boss, directors of RSTI, Director of Education, CEOs in the House, members of DIESA, Eswera, KIAS, RSTP, the academic community, organizing committee, delegates, exhibitors, I'm sure we have students. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Solo ngiyakopa the protocol because I'm never really good about it. So if I have missed you, I'm sure those who have been here for a few days, they already know a few of the Swazi words. Maybe let me just begin by inviting you to take a moment to think about a girl in a rural area in this beautiful kingdom of ours, who's probably looking out the sky and wondering how it shines. Of course, I'll be biased. I was that girl one day, and sitting somewhere in Ngopolo. I didn't know that one day I'll stand here before you. And that is basically where curiosity starts. We don't know where that girl will end up if we are not nurturing them. Maybe we are closing a door for a future astrophysicist, for example, engineer, or someone who could make a huge change in our beautiful kingdom, in Africa, in the world, because the sky is the limit. So I just want to highlight that the power of education sits right there. It begins with having curiosity, and through the guidance of dedicated teachers and educators, of which I believe most of the people in the house belong to one class or that. Of course, education is not always formal. It can also be informal. So that can spark curiosity. And today we gather at this conference with our shared mission to ignite the same spark in every learner in Africa, in the world, especially our girls. You'll forgive me, I am an advocate for the girl child, ensuring that no dream is too distant and no potential goes unnoticed. Because when that happens, not just the child loses, the country loses, the world loses on that potential. It is actually a great honor for me to stand before you in this occasion, which is basically an international conference which comes through collaborative efforts. Yes, as skiers, we found the ball already rolling, but they said we are not leaving you behind. And thank you to the organizing committees from DIESA, Eswera, RSTP. And the theme for this year, I think it has been reiterated several times. It challenges us all to think how education can respond to the needs of the rapidly growing world. We know today we have AI, which our students are still confused. I'll just tell you a situation. The other day I was sitting in my office, and I'm sure the students didn't know I was in my office. They were just chatting to themselves outside, and this other one was telling the other that, I don't know how I'm still failing, because I still use AI to copy, but I'm still failing. So there is our challenge. We need to guide students. AI is not going to give you the answers. It's just going to help us to do our work efficiently. If you don't know the answer, you won't recognize when AI gives you the wrong answer. So today, learning must empower individuals, not only with knowledge, but with creativity, with adaptability, and the capability to lead in an era shaped by science, technology, and innovation. Something that we all desperately need today. As the Kingdom of Eswatini Academy of Sciences, we are proud to partner with Sarah, with DESA, and RSTP in hosting this important event. And together we bring different expertise which have already been highlighted here, including educational research, open and distance learning, technological innovation, scientific leadership, and the very pillar that must work in harmony to achieve sustainable development. So at KIAS, we believe that science and education are inseparable. Scientific inquiry drives innovation. I believe today we have innovators here who are just giving a glimpse of some of the things that innovation can do for us, while education ensures that knowledge translates into progress, something that we all hope for. This conference comes at an opportune time for Eswatini and Africa at large and provides an invaluable platform to explore emerging issues, such as the issues of digital learning, which has been said several times here, education, financing, inclusivity, wellness, the role of industry, and educational transformation. I also wanted to just highlight, somebody out there may be asking, who is KIAS? What is KIAS? Magela Matsebul. KIAS is the Kingdom of Eswatini Academy of Sciences. It was established in 2018 through the Ministry of ICT. Of course, then COVID came, things slowed down, so we still refer to ourselves as babies in the country. Of course, at 3 years old, you are now a toddler, so we are probably toddlers as we speak. This was an initiative from the African Union and SADC that countries must have scientific academies to help in the development of their country. So basically, we are a merit-based organization with members from selected among leading scientific minds within the country. Hence, the membership is not vast, but it is not closed nonetheless. Scientific excellence speak to the membership of KIAS. The Academy is supposed to be a non-political, non-sectarian, and non-profit organization because it is meant to guide scientific development in the country. It represents scientific excellence across all disciplines, and it is vital for civil society institutions that has the credibility to inform the public and policymakers about problems and potential solutions, basing that on facts. So the main objectives of KIAS include to promote and develop all aspects and disciplines of the sciences, to provide evidence-based solutions to national problems, and to inspire and encourage the use of science and technology, and to increase science and technology expertise in the country, which is why we want our membership to grow. And also to be inclusive and promote women in science at KIAS and in the country. Hence, we, as toddlers, we can only reach where toddlers reach. We have tried to raise awareness about our organization. We host several activities in the country, including webinars, innovation forum, and conferences, including collaborating with other organizations that have the same vision. We also have our annual conference that is coming on the 25th of November, where we invite all scientists to come and have scientific talks. In the country, we haven't had a platform where we are able to present scientific research happening in the country. Of course, we are open to the rest of Africa. Hence, today, I encourage all participants to use this platform that we have here today to share experiences, strengthen networks, and develop practical solutions that will enhance access, quality, and relevance in education. And let us ensure that our discussions lead us to tangible impacts in policy, practice, and community transformation. That is what we all want, to have a world, to live in a world that is accommodating for all of us. Mphatsi Soyahamba. On behalf of KIAS, I extend my heartfelt appreciation to our partners, keynote speakers, Ingosingati Magela Matsebula, for this opportunity, the delegates, and all the presentations that we are going to be listening to here today. May this conference inspire us to have new partnerships listening to other people, and also finding where we can all meet together. In this era of AI, it is our role to teach, to guide, to mentor the next generation. I thank you.
I will invite Her Royal Highness Princess Ngenge to come to the podium. She has to make remarks as well. Her Royal Highness, she heads, let me look up its item. Please do spare me, ladies and gentlemen. We have to change the program. Yes. Her Royal Highness, please come to the stage. She is representing the Portfolio Committee for Science and Technology. Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness.
Thank you, Program Director. Ngos, wenwebune. Ngosikade ngicale ngikuxolisa Nkosi ukungena emva kwakho. Kuhle ngoba Nkosi siteka technology, imoto yami imile Nkosi mbe batangitshela laba labathi ukuthi kwentekani ngale technology. Ayidumi wenwe kunene. Your Royal Highness Nkosikade Matsebula, honorable ministers or representatives etinduna tembuso, Vice Chancellor and university leadership, distinguished guests and delegates, ladies and gentlemen, siyanibusela ekuseni, good morning. It is a privilege to join this distinguished gathering at a time when Eswatini is charting a new digital path, where technology, education, and innovation converge to create opportunities for every Liswati in the nation. On behalf of the Ministry of ICT Portfolio Committee in the Senate, I bring warm greetings and reaffirm our government's commitment to advancing a knowledge-based economy that is rooted in access, inclusion, and innovation. When the Ministry of ICT is the implementer and custodian of the National ICT Policy and Digital Transformation Strategy, These critical documents are guiding Eswatini towards a smart, connected, and competitive nation. They have both given birth to groundbreaking initiatives such as the National Broadband Policy, the e-government strategy, and the National Digital Skills Framework. Through these initiatives, government seeks to ensure that ICT becomes a driver of equitable access to education, efficient governance, and sustainable economic growth. This year's theme of the international conference, Access, Affordability, Sustainability, Innovation, and Relevance, mirrors the ministry's vision in several ways, more like a blueprint. This year's theme is profound and practical. For us, access is about bridging the digital divide. It is not enough to have technology only in our cities. We are grateful that the ministry is supporting decentralization of services by actively expanding our rural connectivity to major fiber backbone projects and community Wi-Fi zones. This helps us to attain our goal to ensure that every learner in a school somewhere in the outskirts, Lemakaya, Ekbuluzla, Ekabomage, that they have access to a learning resources as a student, la imbabane nagamanzini nalagmatsapa emadolobheni. The Ministry of ICT also recognizes that access does no good if services are too expensive to use. We are grateful that the ministry is actively addressing this head-on through key partnerships with Eswatini Post and Telecommunications, MTN, and Eswatini Mobile. Together, we are working to significantly reduce data costs, specifically for educational platforms like our flagship Eswatini Learning Passport, the ELP. Ladies and gentlemen, we note that true progress must be built to last. Therefore, I am pleased to report that we received through the Rail Science and Technology Park, the Ministry is fostering a homegrown culture of innovation so that we can have our own technologies that factor in our values, our culture, and our traditions, Singemaswati. The Ministry of ICT is actively supporting local startups, businesses such as Shinafu and EduSphere that are creating energy-efficient, cloud-based learning solutions. It is evident that the Ministry of ICT is committed to nurturing a new generation of tech-savvy educators and researchers by integrating critical skills such as artificial intelligence, coding, and digital literacy directly into our tertiary education curricula. Eswatini can ensure that Emaswati have the skills they require to meet the demands of technology-intensive work environments. This is a core pillar of our smart education and research agenda of 2025 to 2030, ensuring that our education system isn't just modern, but it is truly relevant for the world of tomorrow. Esteemed participants, I am very pleased that this year's theme is a call to action, and with all these initiatives in place, I can confidently say that we are already answering the call. As a legislator, I stand before you to affirm or reaffirm that the ICT committee portfolio is committed to one of the most transformative pillars of our nation's development, ICT and education. These two sectors are no longer parallel tracks. They are deeply intertwined, and they determine how we will compete, create, and connect in the global knowledge economy in the future. In my role in the ICT Portfolio Committee, I recognize that the Ministry of IT carries an expanding mandate to digitize government services, support the education sector, and drive national innovation. Our Honorable Minister, Senator Savannah Mazia, is spearheading this initiative, and njengoba, as the entire nation is aware of, the government in your hand initiative is already at work. This mandate cannot be realized without sufficient funding, however. As a legislator, I understand we must support a progressive increase in the budget allocation to the Ministry of ICT, recognizing that digital infrastructure and skills are not expenses, but long-term investment in economic growth, efficiency, and resilience. Our investment in ICT is an investment in the minds of our young people, the future innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders who will carry our nation into the 4th and the 5th industrial revolutions. Therefore, enhanced funding of the Ministry of ICT will empower it to equip schools and digital learning platforms and connectivity, support teachers training in emerging technologies, expand governance initiatives, and strengthen the cybersecurity and data protection frameworks that safeguard our digital economy. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I would like to wish you fruitful deliberations that reflect the spirit of our national vision, where technology bridges rather than widens the gap, and where innovation empowers rather than perpetuate exclusion. As chairperson of the ICT Portfolio Committee in Senate, I pledge our continued oversight and support to ensure that Eswatini's digital policies translate into sustainable socio-economic progress. Together, let us build a digitally empowered and knowledge-driven society, a society that enables innovation to flourish, where young people are creators of technology, and where our education system is empowered by access, inclusion, and excellence. I thank you. Ngos.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. Indeed, education and technology are inseparable. You have just provided the synergy between legislative and education. We really appreciate your words, Your Royal Highness. May we give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Mage, and ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to juggle with the program once again. Basking program director, Dr. Gutsi, I have the right to play with the program. So now we are going to move to the next item, which will be the speech by the Minister of Education. Mage Ngosikatla Matsebula, let me extend apologies on behalf of the Minister of Education, Honorable Owen Ngumalo. He couldn't attend today because he is at cabinet. On another note, I also want to extend apologies on behalf of my PS, Mr. Nikim Nisi. She is attending another important mission outside the country where she is representing the kingdom. So the minister wanted me to read the speech. Allow me to read the speech as is. Mage siyabonga kakhulu Nkosikazi. The Eswera patron, Her Royal Highness Mage Nkosikazi Matsebula, Minister of ICT, Principal Secretaries, Portfolio Committee, Representative, Ngosatana, Princess Ngenge, UNESCO Vice Chancellor, senior officials from the Ministries of Education and ICT, Eswera President, KIAS President, DIESA Chairperson, RSTP CEO, esteemed academics, teachers, researchers, students, and honored guests, good day. It gives me great pleasure to join this gathering of scholars and education leaders who share a vision of transforming education for Eswatini and the region. This conference comes at a time when our education system continues to evolve under progressive national policies designed to ensure that every child learns, every teacher is empowered, and every learner has an opportunity to succeed. The government of Eswatini, under His Majesty King Mswati III, has consistently prioritized education as a pillar for national development and human capital development. The Ministry of Education and Training's mandate aligns with the pillars of this conference: access, affordability, sustainability, innovation, and relevance, all of which are reflected in our policies and programs. The free primary education policy remains one of the most transformative interventions in Eswatini's education history. Since its inception in 2010, FPE has opened the doors of learning to thousands of children who would otherwise have been excluded due to financial constraints. Today, over 230,000 learners benefit annually, ensuring that every Swazi child has access to basic education regardless of their socio-economic background. Complementing this is the Orphans and Vulnerable Children OVC Education Fund, a homegrown policy initiative that demonstrates our commitment to social justice and equity. Through this fund, government covers school fees and essential learning materials for vulnerable learners in both primary and secondary schools. The OVC fund not only addresses financial barriers, but also restores dignity and hope to the affected children and their families. Our inclusive education policy of 2018 reinforces Eswatini's beliefs that every learner matters and matters equally. The ministry continues to promote teaching and learning environments that accommodate diverse learning needs, including those of learners with disabilities, learning difficulties, and other special needs. Through teacher training, curriculum adaptation, and community sensitization, Eswatini is progressing toward an education system that embraces diversity. The establishment of resource centers, partnerships with NGOs, and integration of inclusive pedagogy in teacher education institutions have strengthened this agenda. To ensure relevance and lifelong learning, Eswatini is implementing the competency-based education curriculum across all levels of schooling. This reform represents a paradigm shift from content-driven to outcome-based learning, focusing on what learners can do with what they learn. It integrates critical thinking, creativity, problem-solving, and entrepreneurship, competencies essential for the 21st century economy. Linked to CBE is the normal progression policy, which supports learners' holistic development by allowing them to move through the system based on demonstrated competencies rather than repeated failure. This approach reduces dropout rates and promotes retention, while encouraging schools to provide remedial and enriching support where needed. Sustainability remains central to education policy. The ministry integrates education for sustainable development, climate-smart agriculture, and environmental stewardship into curricula in partnership with the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs and the FAO. We also embrace digital innovation. The Eswatini Learning Passport, launched in collaboration with UNICEF and Microsoft, has become a cornerstone of our national e-learning strategy, expanding access to quality digital content for learners across the country. Education financing continues to be a shared responsibility. The government remains the largest investor in education, but we recognize the crucial role of development partners, the private sector, and communities in ensuring that no learner is left behind. We continue to engage in public-private partnerships for infrastructure development, school feeding programs, and digital inclusion projects. These collaborations enhance affordability and sustainability while improving quality and innovation. This Iswera Diasakia's RSTP conference stands as a vital platform for sharing research and evidence to inform national policy. Educational reforms can only succeed if grounded in data, reflection, and collaboration between policymakers and researchers. As we deliberate under this theme, let us remember that access without quality is incomplete. Innovation without inclusion is unjust, and policy without implementation is powerless. Together, we must sustain momentum by strengthening teacher capacity and continuous professional development, expanding digital infrastructure for blended and remote learning, deepening inclusive practices, and aligning educational outcomes with national and regional economic needs. In conclusion, I reaffirm the Minister's commitment to ensuring that Eswatini's education system remains inclusive, affordable, relevant, and future-driven. We shall continue to work with our partners, local and regional, to ensure that every Swati child not only enters school, but completes it equipped to thrive in the world of work and citizenship. On behalf of the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini, I thank Iswera, Sakias, and RSTP for this collaborative effort to shape the future of education in the region. May this conference inspire new insights, partnerships, and innovations that will strengthen our education systems and advance our collective prosperity. Ngiyabonga. Thank you. Hawu, ashayi kakhudlwana phela. That was powerful from my Minister of Education and Training. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Siyabonga kakhulu Mage. At this juncture, I will request the Minister or the representative for the Minister of ICT to come into the podium. We understand very well, ladies and gentlemen, that digital transformation of education requires strong leadership. To formally hear from that or hear about that, let us welcome Undersecretary Mage Makanjana Mota, who is representing the Minister for ICT, to take the podium. Over to you.
Sanibonani bonkosi. Ninjani? Siyaphila nathi. Kufisha kwami malangeni lamahle ngithunywe ukuthi ngethule Mage. Ngitawuvusela Mage, ngivusela kakhulu Nkosi. Ngivusela nemphane Nkosi lapha phasi, umphane Nkosi ncenge lophize ukuthi abe ngumphathi wami. We-ICT Portfolio Committee ngiyakuvusela Dlamini yokune Nkosi. Nani nonke belihlanga. Bonkosi sekutaba kufisha kwami ngeke ngifunze speech lengibhalelwe sona but ngidawukhuluma lokuphuma enhlitiyweni, ngidawukhuluma ngeSiswati, ngidawucela ukuthi umshelo longasiva Siswati. Just recently, 2 weeks ago, we had a function at the George Hotel, whereby there was a ceremony marking the Eswatini Women's STEM Day. That is Bomage, laba ku STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Laba sebente kakhulu baba leticu letitsite ku science and technology. Ngicela ukungixoxela sikwendekani on that day. Wavele Mage wangishayela icebo uthi ematanjana. Bakuphi labantu abangaka leticu letingaka? Most of them, banabo 29 to 30, what's it? Do you have a database of those women? See, Young Academy of Sciences. We have that database for those PhD holders. Stawufisa mangalela ngathi nawe ubabone Dlamini yokunene, but ikhulumele bengibabuta Nkosi ukuthi hawu una PhD ufunzela kuphi athi kalamhlanje wena ke athi tonke lesikole semakhaya. Ladies and gentlemen, I was very shocked ukuthi vele labamfana they don't come from la madolobheni baphuma le emakhaya. Even is it the first a pilot yaga not the Royal Swaziland le khona nyalo kwetshayeni the khona nyalo kwetshayeni nanzana the airline yethu
Eswatini Air, yes. The first woman pilot Eswatini Air in Bombata. Utsi ufunze le Big Band. Lapha nje bokuhlala khona ngasenkhohlweni igama lenza but funze Big Band. Ngikhuluma lokho emehlweni make siyakubonga make ngale uyathi khutsata ngathi. Ngicela kusho okunye ngamake. Maka ingwenyama yetfula the ministers at 2023. Washa futhi make wathi uyathi kuthini? Ngifuna ukubona nonke the lady ministers, the senior government officials labo make ku government. Guess what? Hospital mage say hotela sadla we ate. Uthi ke mage aseniyekele mambomadana lokubana le pull her down syndrome. Aseniyelo mona. Let us labafata sibafukuleni from la khona khona. Bafati banemona we pull her down. Hayi loyo siyamathi unjani njani. Wathi mage no. Let us not do that. Sicela ukubonga mage for that. Usiphathele ke make ngalo langa usasele tipho emahiya efzahamba sivunule sibahle ladies and gentlemen ngicela simbonge make siyakubonga kakhulu Nkosi uthi uyatikhuthalela ngathi kunengi ngakusho ngamake uthi makabona umfana lo njani athi emaca njani ngiseka education lo mfana lo nje ukuphi uyamatini ngicela ungifunele yena ngimfuna umfana nyalo kaSwazi TV make akafuni mangifuna ebheke eceleni ukwangishayela recent wathi hawu senigcoka kanjani kanti nini senigcoka kanjani niyadlo sinibukelwa ngithi la ngaphandle ngathi Nkosi lami wathi hamba okhuda make siyakubonga make akafihli ke vele if you know her uvela ashayela icebo wathi batshele bagcoke kahle njengamampompatana hayi levo laba yendawo phela babuka ngithi nabaye bavula ngaphandle they should dress well siyabonga make uyangibona nami ngisingizithile manje ngicela kukusukumisa nami nokunene ngalo magama lamafisha lapho enhlitshweni yami ude Nkosi udosinike amagama ekusikhutsata lamini
Program Director, Your Royal Highnesses, Honorable Ministers, our esteemed Vice Chancellor and University leadership, Principal Secretaries, senior officials from the Ministry of Education and ICT, Eswera, President, CARES President, DIESA, Chairperson, RSTP CEO, esteemed academics, teachers, researchers, students, and all our distinguished guests. Sanibonani bongosi. Manje sebangiqebe kakhulu. sengisela umgodzi ke jake ay ndokhona kuma ngoba la eceleni ngiyamgatha. It is both an honor and a privilege for me to address you today at this Eswera DSRKS RSTP 2025 International Conference hosted at the University of Eswatini in Waluseni. I warmly welcome you all. I warmly welcome all of you and sincerely thank our distinguished keynote speakers, professors, and all that has spoken. This conference is a significant occasion that not only celebrates the heritage of educational research, but also looks toward the future of innovation in Eswatini and across Southern Africa. As patron of Eswera, formerly known as SERA, I take pride in reflecting on the remarkable journey of this association, which was established in the early 1980s as part of the Boleswa vision. Today, SERA collaborated with key organizations such as KIAS and RSTP under the Ministry of ICT to organize this important second edition of the conference, a commendable effort demonstrating cooperation of institutions. The government of Eswatini remains steadfast in its commitment to advance Information, Communication and Technology, ICT, plays a pivotal role in promoting research, digital private transformation and innovation. Under its leadership, the Real Science of National Research through the Ministry's National Research Strategy and partnerships with universities, we are expanding access to educational technologies and fostering e-learning ecosystems. This synergy between ICT and education demonstrates how innovation can bridge gaps in access, quality, and equity. I would like to highlight the following several notable achievements. One, National Research Council, NRC. The establishment of the NRC addresses the long-standing founding challenges faced by research in Eswatini. It fulfills King Sopoza II's stream from 1972 and marks a significant advancement in coordinating research activities and aligning them with national development goals. Two, Women in Science, Engineering and Technology, WSET. We have established the national chapter for WSET to close the gender gap in research, empowering women and girls to pursue careers in STEM fields. Three, Young Academy of Sciences. This initiative encourages youth participation in research, nurturing a new generation of scholars who will contribute to our knowledge economy. Four, which is the last one, policies and strengthen research. We are actively reviewing and developing policies that promote research and innovation. including the STI policy, bioeconomy strategy, and policies related to emerging technologies such as AI and the HI and the fourth and fifth industrial revolutions. The Eswatini Educational Research Association, Eswera, has consistently served as a bridge between knowledge and practice, nurturing teachers, empowering policymakers, and engaging communities. Despite financial challenges, Eswera has shown remarkable resilience in hosting and participating in research initiatives. Over the decades, it has amplified local scholars' voices, shaped educational dialogues, and connected Eswatini to regional bodies like the Southern African Educational Research Networks, which is CEN. Today, I have a distinct honor of launching the inaugural volume of the Eswatini Education Research Journal. I extend my heartfelt congratulations to the Eswatini Educational Research Association, Eswera, for its unwavering dedication to advancing educational research, innovation, and scholarships within our kingdom. I don't like reading, but I love talking. It's all the same, as long as somebody listens and hears. I usually say it's different. There's a difference between listening and hearing. But now, let me ask our researchers and everyone that, as we are talking about research, we have our specialists in the field of research. Let us not be proud of dying full of what God has given us, but let us be proud of dying empty. How do we die empty? We die empty because we have rebirthed ourselves. A person who's a specialist in his field or her field must be happy that as I retire, not me, I'm not retiring soon, but the person must be proud that as I retire, I have rebirthed myself, at least one, if not five. How do we rebirth ourselves? We rebirth ourselves ngekuthi singabi nebugovu nema office netiphiwo lesitiphiwe tona, and singabi ngema positional leaders, but sibe ngema leaders who are carrying leadership skills. A principal should not be afraid of leaving the office in case kuba nelokudzingekako. Principal must know, principal in every field, not only in school, must know ukuthi nangekho ngiselivini, lo lengimshiyile uyawat lo msebenzi, nangekho ngikuphi kuphi, le lengimshiyile ngidavele ngithi utasinakathi oh sebathi bafuna lokho angathi oh I'm in Indonesia, I cannot come back, bese kuma lo msebenzi. Agathi lona nakamshayela athi oh yabona lapha first ekhabethini vula ngala bese utfola kwekuthi qhubeke kusetshenzwe. In that way we shall be rebirthing ourselves. We are not shy to download what God has given to us. And now hamba ngiyengive la kuma swayini nama speeches labana kuvalwa tikolo uve thishela athi angesabi lutho khona lapho athi angesabi lutho ngoba uyati ukuthi ufundzisile, deputy wakhe uyati ukuthi fanele endeni. And asibe encouraged not to be comfortable where we are seated. Yeah, okay, angiqhubeke. During this first international conference hosted in collaboration with the Eswatini Higher Education Council, the association also honored 4 distinguished professionals who had rendered outstanding service to the association, the nation, and the international community, educational community. I would also like to acknowledge the Distance Education Association of Southern Africa, DESA, a key player in open and distance learning, ODL, across the Southern African Development Community, SADC. For years, DESA has promoted inclusive, accessible, and flexible learning, partnering with Eswatini Institutes of Distance Education, IDE, to ensure that geography does not limit educational opportunities. This collaboration serves as a model for how access and affordability can be achieved. This year's theme, education in the 21st century: access, affordability, sustainability, innovation, and relevance, is more than just a title. It serves as a roadmap. Access. Every child, youth, and adult deserves a place at the table of learning. Government initiatives such as free primary education and partnership with the private sector have expanded opportunities in Eswatini. However, inequalities persist, particularly in rural areas where resources and connectivity are limited. Angiphinze ngisho ngithi ngithokoze kakhulu kuvumlangeni lapha athi bayasibambisa silive bashaya nje kwelo madima kuthi kube bede losala emuva. Ngicela sishayele eParliament yethu Tandla, and ngosi as US lana sangicebile mina ndakulandzela ngozi kahle ngoba ngihamba ngala ngiseceleni kwakho ndakulandzela ngozi kukhumbuta ngozi uthite. Secondly, affordability. We must design systems that are financially inclusive, ensuring no learner is priced out of opportunities. The government continues to provide scholarships, and regional initiatives are exploring students' loans, schemes, and free education models. 3, sustainability. Education must protect our planet and cultivate responsible citizens. Eswatini is integrating education for sustainable development into curricula, yet we must ensure that sustainability becomes a core operational principle in our schools. Innovation. We must rethink our delivery methods through ICT and entrepreneurial thinking. The Ministry of ICT has played a crucial role in embedding digital transformation in education, but we must address barriers such as high internet costs and limited infrastructure. In relevance, what we teach must connect to the realities of our economy and communities. Continuous dialogue between educators and industry is essential to ensure that educational outcomes align with labor market's needs. These, our 5 pillars, are interconnected, forming a cohesive framework that unites Iswera's mission, DSA's regional leadership, and the Ministry of ICT's innovation drive through KIAS and RADSTP. By weaving these strands together, we can build an education system that is inclusive, responsible, dynamic, and empowering. As patron, I offer 3 guiding imperatives today. 1, strengthen collaboration, foster deep partnerships between ministries, universities, research associates, and private sector innovators. 2, build capacity, prioritize research, mentorship, and open access dissemination to empower a new generation of scholars. 3, embrace digital transformation, institutionalize the integration of ICTs, e-learning, and data-driven research for quality and resilience. When these imperatives converge, we transform society through education. I express my deep appreciation to the Ministry of Education and Training, the Ministry of ICT, SWERA, DSR, KIAS, and RSTP for their shared commitment to educational transformation. I also wish to thank all those who sponsored and organized this event. As we open this conference, let us commit to creating an education system that is open in access, fair in cost, green in practice, creative in delivery, and purposeful in outcome. As we embark on our discussions, I encourage you all to engage actively, share insights, and explore collaborative opportunities. Focusing on STEM education, digital learning, and sustainable economic development is vital for preparing our students for the challenges ahead. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each of you for your dedication to advancing education in Eswatini and the Southern African region. Together, let us strive to create a future where education is not only a right, but a powerful tool for transformation and empowerment. Let me talk again. Why I mentioned let me talk again, I want so that the reporters will not say, but the speeches are short. I want them to know because I spoke. I read and I spoke. So they must be very careful. They must listen. Every child has a right. Let me repeat this line. Together, let us strive to create a future where education is not only a right, but a powerful tool for transformation and empowerment. May I encourage everyone, teacher, everyone adult, when we talk to our children, let us not talk about their rights alone. You see, my hand is, this side cannot survive without the other side. So when we talk of rights, let us also talk about the duties and responsibilities that comes with the rights. The rights do not go alone. It is the right of our children to be educated and to be provided by everything. Our insistence on rights cripples our children because my child will say, I have a right to a cell phone so that I can access my whatever AI and everything. It is good. The child wants the cell phone to research. The child wants a cell phone for everything. Good. But let us educate our children as well that as you have a right, you have a duty. The duty, happens to see the manifestations of your rights. And the duty comes together. There's one that is minor today, which is the responsibility. Responsibility is what the child has in community and the family. But the rights and the duty is wholly on the child, on the person. I always say that my rights are 150% covered in my constitution. But at the same time, my rights are kept by his right and her rights and the law. In our hunger to explore, to know more, let us respect each other's rights. Let us be the protectors of each other's rights. I have a right because research comes from the question why and how and where. I want to know, they say there was a time Ngozi Shaka wanted to know ukuthi umfana uhlala njani esiswini wendani wase uthi akubanjwe makelo pregnant wasikwa afuna kubona. So his right interfered with the right of the other person. So as we research, as we do everything, let us remember that there are rights and duties and responsibilities. Hey, ngikhulume kakhulu angifunze. Nini bongixolela bongosi. Yabona lokukhulela lemakhaya kaZandondwe Mbelebene lingahoho wherever. Bukwenda ukhulume. Yeah. I go to ukhuluma because uyedzelela. You want to partake the knowledge that is there to the next person. And I'm one person, I don't want to die full. If it's possible, I want to die empty. Sengibuyela emabhukwini ami bekunene. In the words of Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Also, our King Sobhuza II said, we must educate our own to make our own ambassadors of success. Now, it is my honor as the patron officer to declare the 2025 Esera Diasakias RSTP International Conference officially opened. I thank you all, and I look forward to the fruitful discussions that will arise from our time together. I thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you, Mage, for such a profound message. We are really humbled. On behalf of everybody here, I extend sincere thanks, Mage Wade, for ukhulume kahle kangaka. Siyabonga. One thing I have learned, actually not one thing, several things I've learned, is that we must not be proud of dying full, but let us be proud of dying what? Empty. Thank you for challenging us to do well wherever we are placed. Siyabonga Nkosi, siyabonga wena bekunene. Thank you also for challenging us to strengthen collaboration between ministries, the Ministry of ICT and the Ministry of Education and all other ministries for creating public-private partnerships and working with stakeholders. Thank you for saying that we should build capacity so that we empower our children. Yes, the issue of rights and responsibilities. Siyabonga kakhulu. Mage kusekhutela. We have given our children the leeway to do as they please because basibanani ke, they have got rights. A right goes hand in hand with the responsibility. Siyabonga kakhulu. Can we please give Mage Wade a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? That was powerful. It was profound. Siyabonga kakhulu wena wenginene. Now, Program Director, so program foods. We are going back. Siyahamba, Mage si introducer CEO for the Research, Science and Technology Park, Ms. Nomvula Kulago. We know very well that innovation is the engine of the 21st century. And without innovation, education is worthless. So to speak on the critical link between research, science and technology progress, I now invite the CEO, Ms. Nomvula Kulago. Oh, Ms. Nomvula, come. The podium is yours. Let's give her a big round of applause as she ascends the stage. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sis.
Her Royal Highness, as she exits, and all protocol observed, particularly by my table, I'm sitting next to the ICT Portfolio Committee Chairperson, Siyabonga Nkosi. I'm still trying to catch my breath because we've been empowered as participants of this conference, particularly coming after the speech by Her Royal Nkosikati Magela Matsebula. So please just let me have it sink in so that then I can come back to being me. So today, it is a privilege to be with you today here. As partners, I think all my partners have already spoken. It was just me. We have had a vision, as always, to do such great things for Eswatini. And things like these happen through collaboration and through partnership. And it is an honor that all four of us came together as ISWERA, DIASA, KIAS, and RSTP indeed, to make this conference a possibility for all so that we can share ideas, so that we can talk about what exactly science and R&D really means to us Eswatini. If we're talking about a digital economy, what exactly is that? We need to unpack it, and we need to have all the great minds together in this table, in this venue, so that we can understand and move forward in a way that will really benefit us as Eswatini. And on that note, I have a speech as well, but I think I've been empowered to also begin to talk even without reading the speeches. The leadership of Eswatini is with us in this journey, because just yesterday, I sat in my office and there was a delegation from Mozambique. They came and they said, the Prime Minister said we should come and see what RSTP is doing and how we can partner with you. We said, oh, okay. So as the leaders of Eswatini move beyond borders, they think about what sort of relationships can we create and come back and enable the entities that we have developed here in Eswatini so that they can make the dreams of Eswatini come true. And a week ago, same happened. There's a delegation that came. They said, HMK said when we were at the New York, we should come to Eswatini, particularly to RSTP and the Ministry of ICT. They came with the Ministry of ICT. They said, let's talk. So we took them to the laboratories. So we have a building at the RSTP where we want to build laboratories to enable R&D research. So we took them there and they said, it's empty. We said yes, and it will remain empty. What we need is to find sponsors for the equipment that will come here and enable this research. And the head of the delegation said, let's start doing that business proposal. We are here for exactly that. And that was a delegation that was sent by His Royal Majesty, the King. Please, let's give a round of applause, because this simply means the leaders of this country are wanting to enable us. So back to my speech. So who is RSTP? RSTP is the hub of innovation. We blend very well with the theme that says education in the 21st century, 5 pillars. It is access. We've got the Innovation Center, which is Ngomvo, where we bring access to the country. We've got the other theme says affordability. With the facilities that we have at Ngomvo, the business incubators get to access digital platforms at no cost until they become business people. Sustainability. How do we remain sustainable? It is such collaborations where we want to create the sustainable platforms so that we continue to thrive. So we are part and parcel of this theme. When we talk about relevance, we talk of the fact that we're sitting here as collaborating partners. It means that whatever we're doing, we relate to the next person, and let's continue, therefore, remaining relevant. I'm not going to speak a lot about innovation because we are in an innovation park. So Ngomvo Losephochweni is an innovation park, just as Enogwane Gunale Biotechnology Park. So we really are part and parcel of this theme as RSTP. And what we have brought today here to share with you is that we also have exhibitions that will be there, demonstrating exactly what sorts of innovations are possible coming through from Eswatini, being enabled by not only RSTP, but all the partners, because as RSTP, when we take on the business incubation unit, there is no budget for it internally. The partners who literally gave us the money for startup capital so that we can enable them to do whatever they need to do, where they need money, but where they need equipment that's already available, because Live le Maswati lakhelwe le facility for exactly that. So I just want to share just examples of how we, through the business incubation, are enabling education through innovation. I think the speakers before me have already touched on some, but I just want to quickly take you through exactly what it is that they're doing. There is Shinufu as one of them. This is an education platform which literally is like a personal assistant to the teacher. So while the teacher is doing the teaching in the class, what it does is all the admin work. So isn't that beautiful to have such a solution coming from within Eswatini, enabling our Eswatini teachers to do what they need to do, teach, rather than doing the admin. So this is precisely what Shinufi is about in a nutshell. There's EduSphere as one of the other innovators in the education space. This is a platform. When I say platform, I mean all the things are done online. This is a platform where the educators, the learners, the parents, all converge. If you've got a question, you pose it there, you get answers. How better can we collaborate in empowering our young ones, both boys and girls, to become the innovators that we want to see, the people whom we were grooming to see them making solutions to all the problems of the world, not just Eswatini. So this is a platform that allows them to do that. The other one, I had 3 as examples. The other one is Groaning Associates and Tutoring Services. Is the go-to class to learn they go home with homework. They go home with research. They have their own problems that need solutions that are outside school. So there's a platform that allows them to meet tutors, to meet mentees, and even if it's not students, even us as adults, we can do that, mentorships within that platform. Isn't that beautiful? Creating an atmosphere which enables each and everyone to do better and face whatever challenges in a way that will be positive. So all these three are part of the business incubators that have been within our business incubation. And we are very proud to have had a hand with these platforms, because that is how we are enabling the innovation in the 21st century education. As we look ahead, let us continue to collaborate, share the knowledge, and invest in solutions that will be relevant and be sustainable, not only locally, but also solve problems to the entire world, because that is how we can export and make money from our innovative ideas. Your Royal Highness in absentia, distinguished guests, I thank you for your dedication and partnerships, and we're looking forward to building even more relationships through this sort of environment where we will continue to have an inclusive and innovative and truly transformative journey. I thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Kuluago, for highlighting the vital role of innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, asimshayele intandla. Asimshayele intandla. Yes, that was beautiful, Ms. Kuluago. Now, after a series of thought-provoking addresses, it is time to experience the vibrant soul of Eswatini. Let us celebrate now. I want to invite Elangeni High School. Please come and just give us something spectacular. Give us something spectacular. You are known for doing the best. Asibashele tandla abantu abambaseda. Elangeni, hurry up, banfabami, pamsantinyawo. So we are going to watch a wonderful display of talent, and culture. That is what Elangeni High School is known for. Elangeni, while Elangeni is ascending the stage, I want to congratulate Dogotela Tsigati for achieving this wonderful milestone. Can you please give him a big round of applause? He is a leader leading with vision, and I understand that he is not working alone. Please also give a big round of applause to the local organizing committee. Yes. Sendeleni ke bamfabami sesilalele. Kuyo.
Asinvusela maswahla amahle ke namuhla emini la ekwaluseni kumathapha la kune conference lenkulu khona I-conference le centered around development in the education space leholwa kakhulu ke bochwephesha ehlangothini ke lwetemfundo babambisene ke nama stakeholders cishe ke labandi lafaka ekhathi ke luhlangothi ke lwe Royal Science and Technology Park kufaka ekhathi ke benhlangano lebuke ke indzaba science kule live nalabo ke lababuke ke indzaba tayo ke I-distance education in the Kingdom of Eswatini. The theme for this conference is education in the 21st century, which is also focused on a couple of pillars, including access, affordability, sustainability, and innovation. We are even our keynote speaker, Inkosikati Magela has made some profound submissions, which I think speak to what this conference is about. Dr. Tsigati la longo chairperson namage president wayoke association yaboke bochwephesha betemfundo kuleli vela kangwane who is also the local chairperson of the local organizing committee. Dr. Tsigati, we spoke to you earlier this morning, and the conference has started. Speakers have been on the podium, including our keynote speaker. What do you make of the submissions that have been made by the various speakers so far?
Siyabonga Perez, sibonga nje kakhulu nemsakade ukuthi kubeka yinathi. Sibonga kakhulu nebuholi belive ukukhulula mahake wethu ate sikhuluma ngale ndlela akhulume ngayo. I must say siphatshatiswa la kuleti kuchwephesha ngendlela akhulume ngayo. Ngeke lakhulumile ekhuluma ngako konke lokucuzana entemfundo kufaka ekhathi le access le access to education, lokufaka ekhathi le affordability, lokufaka ekhathi le sustainability, le lokuthi constant lemfundo yethu, lokufaka ekhathi indzaba innovation lokuthi sibe creative nje etintweni ukuthi ke vele sikhube sibe relevant. But nje magama lakhulumile masikhathi lasikhuthateka kakhulu nathi ma researcher ukuthi we should not die full, but we should die empty. Lokho ukuthi ngeSiswati asingafi nalolwathi lethu engqondweni, but asife sesilushiyile sishiyela abatali sebenzisa ngaphambili. Uthi umbhali the richest place in earth is the graveyard, because lapho kulele khona abantu labanemicomvo lemikhulu. So siyabonga ukuthi live liyakhula ntemfundo sinabo dokotela bayakhula nabo professor. Sifuna kubona ukuthi lokho kuqhubeke kubonakala ngale mhlangano lesiyenda lemkhulu le kungabe yokuphela nje kodwa kube khona nemphumela ke lokuthi sibone sitransforma. Siyabonga nje kakhulu ngikhulumile make wathi tonke ingoni wakhuluma nokuthi nathi ma research na konke singena njani nalabanye sivile lokhumela Minister of Education.
Sorry, just to interject. Kulendzaba yeNkosikati Magela Mathebula, there is a profound submission that he made in the form of a parable, if I may say, when he threw the example of King Shaka, who was curious about what happens when a woman is pregnant. In his curiosity, in trying to find out, he asked that pregnant woman to be brought forth, and the womb was actually opened while this woman was alive, because he wanted to see how a child, sits inside a mother's womb, you know. And Inkosikati Magela Mathebula says, while we do our work, we need to draw some lines of responsibility. What exactly was Inkosikati referring to when it comes to your work as researchers, to say, while we research, but we also need to assume an element of responsibility? Because like King Shaka did, he was curious, but then a certain right was violated.
Yes, uqinisile Perez, kunala kuthiwa ma ethical issues. Lesho ukuthi yini lokufuna kwendeke usa researcher, yini lokufuna ungakwendi. Nangabe utawukwenda kutawubanga ukuthi lo munye alinyathekele ilungelo lakhe. Kufanele ukuthi ungakwendi. Lokho nje la kwenda Shaka ukuthi is unethical, because angeke ukuthi ngoba wena ufuna kwathi sekufuna usile ombulale lo munye. So lapha nje usinike vele usiyale kakhulu njengama researchers thina nje bekuqondene nathi vele. Those are one of the point lesingathatha ukuthi vele sisaqhubeka nemsebenzi, but let us be mindful about the other people's rights, human subject rights, even like animals, because nakhona now ini emalungelo. So asihlonipheni emalungelo alabanye lesebenzayo sisenda research. Lokho nje kukhulu, not only for us who are here, but we are happy that it's for Africa, because we've got even African representatives here. I could even see they were keenly following the presentation. And others who are not even here, let us take that one and run with it, so that whatever we do it in good standing, in the right manner.
Dr. Sigasi, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Sibonga mlaleli ekhaya.
Siyabonga kakhulu Maswati Mahle ngoDr. Tsikati lo besikhathi sikhuluma naye la lo unguyena cishe kalihlandlela lekuhlanganisa ke lo mhlangano umsakazo Maswati Mahle ke utawuqhubeka ke usakade lo mhlangano noma ke sesiphumile on our main platform which is the Eswatini TV traditional platform. When I got here this morning you were already clued up. You were telling me about education needs to be resilient, it needs to be accessible and affordable, it needs to be innovative and all those kind of fundamental pillars. What have you drawn from this conference since it began?
Okay, I think basically what I've drawn is the fact that there's been a lot of keynote addresses that were made, but one of them being the Kingdom of Eswatini Association of Sciences, about women empowerment, women also in the science field as well. And of course, just understanding that women also need to take up space when it comes to the field of science and coming with more evidence-based, solutions to economic problems. In Zabage, about distance learning, more online teaching practices need to be adopted as well, because we know that the unemployment rate is high. But there's so much that we've learned here today. It's very informative. It was very educational. And as much as Sivala right now, we just want, people to know that, there's a lot that's still going to be going on. So if you want to catch up on all the action, YouTube most now, Mr. Paris.
Of course, we need to cross over to the studio for the preparation of the main bulletin at 1 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us at this far.
Good day.
kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi
aba research bafunze.
being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula
nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokusembili.
Imagine being part of a journey that uncovers the beauty of untold stories. Get ready to be part of something epic. You don't want to be left out, and you definitely don't want to miss out. Join the journey of uncovering untold stories through art, words, and hands. O-U-T out. Well, that's poetry. Poetry. Don't blink or you'll miss it. Every Monday, 6:30 p.m. Screens on, eyes glued.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds, full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, to feel the rush of life overwhelm you, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. You ask, and we give you the royal experience. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. There are but a few places on earth so special, so unique, and so spectacular, where it becomes the rite of passage for the ambitious travelers, the courageous souls, to all have the one and only royal experience. That day when you look deep into your heart and leap into an ancient world so very different from your own, where magic, beauty, and love are shared forever, then you will have a royal experience. There is just one place on earth where the people make you feel a part of their kingdom, where you just might volunteer to awaken spirits, enrich minds, and work alongside communities to build, motivate, and inspire. This is truly the royal experience. When you dream of a different world, beyond the ordinary, beyond time, discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
I was born 3 hours before noon, and I already was gazing for you. Tell me, did you hear my first cry? Tell me, did you hear my first cry? I was crying for you. I was crying for